I just knew that if I wanted to be successful, I had to put the time in, because if you want to, I firmly believe that success doesn't come on a silver spoon. Success comes to the general public. Success comes to people that work hard to get it.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for listening. Today, I'm speaking with Jim Carr, President, CEO, and owner of Carr Machine and Tool, a first-class precision machine shop that serves the aerospace, defense, semiconductor, and medical industries. Jim, thanks for chatting with me today.
Fun to be on. It's fun to meet other people in the industry, and happy to share my experiences with all of your audience.
No, that's great. And for those that don't know, Jim has his own podcast, so we'll bring that up later. But
Sure.
It's great to have him on here. So to kick things off, I mean, you've got a very unique journey, and I'd love to hear more about it. Share with the listeners, how you came to, being president and owner at Carr Machine and Tool.
Sure, happy to. So my dad was a machinist back in the late 50s, 60s, 70s, and he worked as a shop superintendent of a machine shop here locally in Chicago for decades. He decided one day that he could do it himself. He put a Bridgeport and a lathe into the one-car side of our two-car suburban Chicago house, started working nights, got a couple side jobs, did that for about 6 months, and said, hey, I'm going to make a go of this. Quit his full-time job. That was December of 1972. We call that our inception date, December 2nd, 1972. He worked in our house garage. He went to the other side. He kicked my mom's car out of the garage and said, I'll try for 6 months. He had a lot of success. He had a lot of drive. He had a lot of mechanical aptitude, and it worked back then. That's all you needed to be a successful entrepreneur back in the early 70s. Plus, we had just come out of a recession, so he was riding that wave of good economic data, and manufacturing was up. So that was it. We moved to Elk Grove Village in the summer of 1973. I am happy to say that we are still in Elk Grove Village, Illinois. It is about 5 minutes west of Chicago O'Hare International. It is the largest industrial park in the country. So we like the infrastructure. We like the contacts. We like all of the industrial and commercial presence that are here. So we have finishing companies, material vendors, all local. In June of 1978, I was graduating high school. My parents said, Jim, we'll pay for a 4-year university college education, or you can come into the family business and do a machinist apprenticeship program at nights. And I thought for about 36 hours about that big decision, that life decision. And obviously this is the decision I made. And as I remember as a young 18-year-old can think about that decision, the one thing that I remember honestly is my dad drove a Cadillac and my parents vacationed in Acapulco quite a bit. And I said, that's not a bad lifestyle. I think I could do that. So I made the choice. And quite frankly, I really never looked back. I just kept pushing myself. I was on the shop floor doing manual machining, Bridgeports, lathes, single pointing threads. In the late 80s, my dad said, I think we should get into CNC machining. He tasked me with that responsibility, got our first Fidel 4020 on the shop floor, was very successful. I took to it very easily. It seemed very natural for me. I was at a good stage in my life. I had just gotten married, just bought a house, just got a new car. My wife was pregnant. So all those things in my life were coming together, and I had accountability. So I pushed hard. I pushed through that and just started learning the business. I literally learned the business from the back door to the front door. From there, I started managing the shop, more CNC equipment, out with all the manual stuff, all the administrative roles about running a small manufacturing company. And in 2004, I convinced my dad to make me the sole shareholder and president. And I've been leading the company in that capacity since 2004. Currently today, my son, Ryan, is third generation. He's in the business. When he came full-time to the company in 2014, after graduating from college with a business entrepreneurial degree, business administration and entrepreneurship, we said, what are we going to do with this business? It's been around for decades. We have the capacity to really create this vision for corporate growth. And what does it look like? We picked up the book Traction. You might see it it's somewhere back there. We read it, implemented it, practiced it. And what do you know? It worked. Currently, we're in a brand new facility, July of 2021. It's three times bigger than the facility we were at for 40 years. We've implemented a lot of new technologies. We're up to 6 5-axis CNC machines. I just bought 2 20 minutes ago. Seriously, we've implemented a lot of robotic automation, lights out machining. I really feel that that's a huge paradigm shift in our industry going forward. If you don't get into it now, you're going to get left behind, just like when CNC technology came to us in the 80s, and it was that huge shift over to CNC. I believe that this lights out robotic automation is going to be the same significance. So we're doing a lot of work now. We got AS 9100 certification, which is an aerospace certification. We targeted new industries. We were traditionally, our fundamentals were in printing press parts for newspaper printing presses and magazines. We knew back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the shift to digital. And we said, we better start thinking about something else. We did. We've recently were awarded some large defense jobs, and we can talk about that a little bit later. We do a lot of work for aerospace, Virgin Galactic, Blue Origin, Tesla, SpaceX, and a lot of smaller space companies as well that require the documentation and the AS 9100 certifications. So that's 51 years in about, 5 minutes?
Man, that's amazing.
Yeah, well, sorry if I went a little long on that.
I think that's great. I mean, it gives everyone a great context of, this conversation. So back when you decided to do this, was that coming out of high school a tough decision?
It was a normal thing. And, I would say of my high school graduating class, about 60% went to college and 40% did not. And it didn't seem unnatural for me. And I don't necessarily think it was a big decision, Dave. I think it was a decision made solely on how educated and common sense, anybody can do anything in life, right? If you want to be successful, you don't have to have this huge education behind you. You just need to have drive and a lot of common sense and good people surrounding you, right? They're going to elevate you to that level, and people you can trust.
Absolutely.
So I don't think it was a big decision, and it certainly didn't feel unnatural to me. I just knew that if I wanted to be successful, I had to put the time in, because if you want to, I firmly believe that success doesn't come on a silver spoon. Success comes to the general public. Success comes to people that work hard to get it.
Yeah, I think that is a great point. Well, because with that, workflows, that's what I was asking, if it was standard. Is we talked a little bit before, we started the podcast. Workforce is a challenge in manufacturing, and really a lot of, technical skills, if you will, that are out in the, that space. What do you think's changed over time? Why is it more challenging to get our new generation, and it's been this way, I think, for a while, to accept that as a great, career path?
I'm still trying to figure it out. But based on all the decades of thinking about it, I think that the industry has become much more high tech than it ever has been. You really need some strong technical math and solving critical issues. Being able to solve issues is a big thing. I don't necessarily know that our schools are promoting manufacturing as a career like they should. I don't know how all that works. I don't know if they're getting kickbacks from the colleges and the universities based on how many people come to their school. Don't know how that works. Don't even want to go down that path. I think that there's still an image problem that the parents believe that their children must have a 4-year education for them to be successful. I believe in college. I sent my children to college. I believe it helped them in their aspiring careers. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that some people aren't privileged enough to have the resources to go to a 4-year university. And that's okay. If they have critical thinking skills, if they have good math skills and good technological skills, manufacturing could be the career option for them. And it certainly can support a family and a career for a lifetime. I mean, it's easily nowadays make over 6 figures, no problem. If you have good skills.
Is it hard to find that skill set? I mean,
It is, yes. Notice how fast I answered that?
Yes. So it's not just any high schooler that comes out. I mean, I wonder if some of that's also, just our education system in high school, are we really teaching critical work or critical thinking and hard work, especially when you can go become a TikTok star and, social media influence, you get all these interesting factors that are showing alternatives of.
But that's so dynamic. It's not long term. How do you know if something changes in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months? You could be left with nothing. This is a growth. It's a step-by-step process. Every year you're in this industry, you become more skilled, and it's like building blocks.
No, I agree. It's fascinating. How much we need it, how critical it is, but it still has this, almost stink to it.
Yes, exactly.
Where, parents are like, yes, we think that's important, but not all.
Right. But we're working hard to change that mentality. We're trying, Manufacturing Day is October 6th, I believe, every year. This year I'm going to try and actively bring in high schoolers into our facility and see the cool stuff that we do and make and where our parts end up at. So I think that'll build a little bit of excitement to see. But they have to want to do it, and they have to have the skill set. Typically, people from the automotive side, so if someone's got great mechanical aptitude, they like to work on cars, they can take things apart, put it back together. Those, if I'm interviewing somebody and I hear those characteristics, that person gets an extra tick on the yes option.
Interesting. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, to pull a thread you mentioned earlier about being an entrepreneur, what do you think it takes to be a good entrepreneur today? And has that changed? I mean, you mentioned a little bit before it was hard work and,
Yeah. So, we're under a lot of, we've been growing. We've grown 600% in the last 7-8 years. And a lot of it's been in the last 1 to 3. I think you have to have a good vision. I think you have to have a written roadmap to get to where you want to be. You can't just say, I want to be a $20 million manufacturing company in the next 3 years. How are you going to get there? It has to be legit. What is the roadmap to get to $20 million? And you can revise it, but you need to revisit that vision every so often to make sure you're on the right track. We've had really lofty goals over the last 5 years, and we've revised them back a little bit. But that's okay, because we're revising, we're looking at it, we're saying, man, that was nuts that we put down. We wanted to be a $50 million company by 2025. It's just not, it's not possible. I think you have to have a lot of drive. I think you have to have a lot of guts, empathy, compassion, resources, i.e. money, good credit, and you need to have people, and you need to have a good culture. And I want to preempt that and say, I think the most important thing that an entrepreneur needs in his business is to have a real winning culture. So a culture with core values that define the company, and that all the people that are in the company, are employed by the company, are aligned with those core values and that cultural fit. Because I can teach skills, but I can't teach core values, i.e. soft skills. I can't teach somebody not to come in late every day and oversleep. I can't teach somebody how to brush their teeth. Those are skills that our parents should have instilled in us. But if they have those soft skills, and I can identify them in the interview process and bring them in, and they have some machining skills, I can teach them. I can send them to school. I can put them on my shop floor. I can show them how to indicate a vice in, how to set up a tool, how to change a program in a CNC machine. I can do all that, but those are the skills. So back to your question about what does it take to be a good entrepreneur? You need to have a good culture for your company. You have to have a vision for growth. You have to have compassion and empathy. And you need the resources to grow. And I mean money. You need some money behind you. Otherwise, as you grow, the money will just dry up.
Which let's just pull that one a little bit. So
yeah,
you're a 100% owner, I think, of your company, correct?
I own 100% of the Carr Machine shares. Yes.
Yeah. So how did you find, how were you able to solve the resourcing problem
back when I took over?
Yeah.
Or back when
you took over, and also,
in 2004.
Yeah.
So back in 2004, Carr Machine and Tool was a significantly smaller company. Mm-hmm. We had sales of less than $1 million a year, right? So the value of the business wasn't nearly what it is nowadays. So my dad actually, I have one sibling, I have a sister. My dad actually gifted me the business, the shares of the business at that time, and then in pre-death assets. And he had a comprehensive trust made up that my sister would get the equivalent of what those shares were in assets when he dies. So that's how that came to fruition. So then I took those shares, I took that ownership and grew it from there.
Oh, that's good. So you did mention earlier that you've been in the Chicago area, which I imagine has given you unique opportunities to network. How has networking impacted, Carr?
Huge. So we've been members of a regional manufacturing association since the mid 70s. Mainly my dad joined that association because they had a consortium of healthcare benefits, and it was good for the company to go with them because to provide healthcare for their employees, the employees here at Carr. He never really used them for anything else other than that. And in 2004, when I took ownership, I would get the monthly newsletter, and I read, there was a small paragraph in there. It said that they had just hired a new marketing person to help the members market their machine shops. Didn't know that I had this innate marketing affinity, and joined this marketing arm of this regional association. His name was Kent Gladish, and he encouraged me to do small things with regards to marketing, but one was networking. He said, you need to come out, you need to start meeting people, join a committee. And I did. I really pushed myself out of my comfort zone and forcefully went to a lot of networking events. And then I started expanding beyond that into another regional, local associations, not necessarily manufacturing associations, and met a lot of great people, of which I still have good friendships with today. But through that networking, especially with the manufacturers, I have a great personal board of directors. I'm friends with people that have $100 million companies. And if I have a problem with my company, I can call them, text them, and say, hey, what would you do if you had this problem? And we help each other share business and personal problems as well. It's been I highly recommend networking. Getting out, talk to people, like yourself that are having the same issues.
Yeah, it's always hard with bandwidth to figure that out. But like you said earlier, surround yourself with great people, and
Surround yourself with great people.
I couldn't agree more. So precision machining to the core of your expertise.
It is.
What are some of the innovative techniques or technologies your company employs to meet the demands, especially when working with like the defense industrial base?
I would say right now our core competencies are complex 5-axis machine parts in all types. So we're a contract CNC machine shop. So we don't do any design. The customer sends us the designs. We might have some DFM designed for manufacturability, especially if it's a new prototype part. We offer our suggestions for manufacturability and then quote the job and get it. We have, 6 5-axis CNC machines now. Again, we're doing AS9100 work, and we've employed some robotic automation onto those machines, along with all the documentation that comes with doing Department of Defense work as well. So there's a lot of restrictions, there's security, there's ITAR, and we have all of those credentials in place right now. There's traceability, there's material certification, process certification. We're a paperless company. There's no prints in the shop. There's no travelers. Everything is run through our ERP system, from estimating to shipping and invoicing, which is really a huge step forward in the right direction. Our shop is super clean. It looks like an aerospace machine shop.
So in that, not going digital, completely digital, which I think is fantastic, really leverages, the capabilities. How do you deal with like security? Obviously, I think from a cybersecurity standpoint, both what you're making, who you're making it for, your customers, the plans that are going back and forth. How do you view the importance of that? And, how do you take steps to ensure that, since you're not a cybersecurity company yourself?
We work with an IT company, and we have malware in place, firewalls, CMMC. Our ERP system is very secure. We've upgraded to the new level of security. Everything is encrypted. We have to go through separate portals to exchange prints. Those are all the things that we're going through right now. ITAR security, you have to register when you come into our facility. If you are a non-US resident, you're tagged appropriately. There's no cameras or cell phones allowed in our shop. If you're a visitor, those are just all of the precautionary things that we take to protect our customers' privacy.
And the technology. That's important.
And the technology, yes.
So you've mentioned you do work with, the defense side, and some, you mentioned a couple of SpaceX and different companies. How do you enjoy working with the DoD and defense? And, what are some good things and what challenges have you seen?
Yeah, so it's relatively a new sector for us. I would say we've been doing work for the Department of Defense on a tier 2 level. So the United States buys from this customer goes to our customer, and our customer has us make the parts. So that's where it's at. We've been doing a lot of prototyping over the last 5 years for our customer that is a Department of Defense, but we were finally awarded a large job, a large contract. It took a long time. So you said, what have I learned? I've learned that dealing with the government takes a very long time to come to fruition. Nobody moves fast. There's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of documentation. It's hard. There's a lot of inspection. You have to be qualified to do it. So that's what I've learned so far.
So if you were a new entrepreneur in the manufacturing space,
I would say get a few years under your belt working for other industries, then get your ISO 9001, then get your ITAR, then get your AS9100, and then get a good ERP system that can control and scale to that level, because scalability is really important. You can't scale by using it. I guess you could. I shouldn't say you can't. You can't scale just using a Google sheet. You know what I mean? You really need something that's robust.
I don't know. There's some pretty powerful Excel masterminds out there.
Yeah, there is. There is. You're right.
No, I'm with you. That's challenging. So, you have scaled. You just mentioned how quickly you scaled last couple of years. Has that induced challenges as you've done that, or has it been?
Yes. No, it's a lot of challenges. It's not been easy. My son and I have had many, many meetings on Saturday with a couple pots of coffee, just writing down issues on our whiteboard on the wall. And, how do we get, I keep saying, what does the roadmap look like? How do you get from this point to this point realistically? You know what I mean? You can't say we're just going to do it. Well, how are we going to get there? There's a lot of logistics behind growth and scalability.
And so with culture, How do you scale culture? Because that is important. You've mentioned it.
That's tough. I think I would highly recommend that being the first thing to do. You have to define so you're the leader, right? I'm the leader of my company. It's my business. It's my culture. It's my core values. I worked with my team about 5 or 6 years ago and we had a list of like 30 core values that we thought we demonstrated. And every week we'd go through them again. Well, we would combine, kill, and cut a few, this one and this one is kind of the same thing. So that's what we combine them. Or, this really isn't what our core is. So we kill it, right? And we finally got it down to 4, we got it down to 4, and we have definitions for those and what they mean. And I really think that is the true essence behind Car Machine. And then you have to practice it.
Absolutely. How long did it take you when did you start that in the journey? Like what year, and how long did it take to actually get where your employees, like, they know them? And what are they, if you don't mind sharing?
Flex, fly, play, and energize. So I could go through I'd have to pull up the sheet and read it off to you what they mean. But flex means just that we're flexible. We can change the word can't into can. Fly is we fly. If you've ever had the privilege of flying first class, you know how that experience is. We treat each other in a first class manner, not only each other, but that's first. Then we teach our customers and our vendors and all the people that come into our facility, we treat in a first class manner. We play well together. I think of myself as the leader of the company. So I'm the main vocalist of the band, and everybody around me has a position. One might be on keyboards, one might be on drums, one might be on bass guitar, one be on electric guitar. But man, when we're jamming and our harmony's great, guess what? We're at the top of the Billboard's charts and we're making money, right? And we're really getting things done. Energize is just, we believe that all of us inside Car have energy. And when those outside entities come to Car and engage with us, they feel that energy and they feel excited to be around us and part of that culture. So there, I didn't have to pull up the sheet. I just did it on my own.
I like it.
Thank you.
And it's not easy to put those together. I mean, it does take time.
No, it took time.
Another one that I found is very important, with a company is having a mission or a vision, depending on how you categorize that, that's bigger than yourself. So how do you look at that? And, what is everyone buying into? Are they buying into Jim Carr? Are they buying into a mission? What is the thing that really unites car industry?
Yeah. I think communicating with them in what our goals are for growth, communicating that often, once a week. Either we do an e-newsletter once a week, and then we actually have a sit-down production meeting where I present once a week. And it's just sharing everything from prospecting, what industries we're going after, new orders we received, our on-time delivery. Well, Ryan has huddles with them twice a week in the mornings, right when they start, and they go over on-time delivery and what they want to get out. But I think that nowadays there's very few family-owned and operated manufacturing facilities, especially third generation like us. And I think that's a real plus nowadays for people to buy into. Because when I hire people, I say, welcome to the Carr family, because it really is a family. And let me tell you, if you're a machinist and you're working for a private equity firm that's been bought out, I think that I got to be careful what I say because some of my very good friends have been bought out by private equity. But I think the culture may tend to be a little diminished at those because, all my employees have access to me anytime they want. They're going right to the top with any questions. I think that at a bigger company, they might get lost in the shuffle.
No, I mean,
we're at about 15 employees right now. So I think we can continue to keep it tight up until 25 or 30. Then it's going to, let's face it, it's hard to keep everyone engaged when you have 50 people, right?
Yeah, no, and I don't think you have to hide it. I mean, that is the problem with private equity. There are very few private equity firms, I think, that...
So why does a private equity company buy a manufacturing company? The objective is to make money, right? They're buying an investment. Okay. If you or I go to a wealth management company and say, I've got $20,000, invest my money for me, you want to see a return on your $20,000. So when the private equity company buys these manufacturing companies, it's an investment that they want to see a return on. So they're just thinking about the numbers and they really don't care about Dave Graff. And if Dave's making too much money and sales are down 30%, they're just going to scratch you right off the employment list just like that because they don't know you. They don't know that your wife just had cancer. They don't know that your daughter's going to college and you need money. They don't care. Where I really know what's going on in most of my team's personal life, and I have empathy for that.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. So I see a very cool logo in the back.
Yep.
And I know you're passionate about marketing.
I am.
So tell me a little bit about how did you get involved? Where did you realize that this was something that you had an affinity towards? And what are some of the keys for, companies like yours that to be successful in really getting their name out there and using marketing appropriately?
I followed pop music culture for my entire life. And obviously it reflects in our core values a little bit. And I saw that there was a lot of artists who were very popular who tended to not have talent, but yet they were marketed so well that they were the ones that were making money and being successful. And there were probably a lot of bands or artists who did have a lot of talent, but they weren't marketed well and they failed and they weren't successful. So I thought about that and I thought, well, marketing is a real thing, right? It's influencing somebody to do something, i.e. spend money on that particular brand or product, right? So if it's marketed well, you're going to get a lot of eyes on you, a lot of PR. And then once the eyes on you, you can take it however you want to go. They can come into your world. So I realized that. And as I became the business owner and I've got people running operations now, I can focus a little bit more on the marketing arm. My wife and I tend to get along well with creatives, people that are creative people. And I truly believe that marketing people are creatives. So that part of me is attached. So rebranding, that logo behind me was part of the rebrand from when we transitioned over to AS9100 to this aerospace credentialing to this new high-tech facility. I think I knew we needed a logo that represented what a aerospace manufacturing company should look like. And it's a very simple design, but yet if you'll notice in the A, just the A is a little different, but it looks like a wing of an airplane. So that's the design behind that. But logos are very important. I think that if people want to start marketing their company, they should go to social media. It's free. It's not like it was 15 years ago to get noticed. There's a lot of competition out there in social media. You need a lot more content nowadays to get noticed than you did 15 years ago, but it certainly is a way to get exposure and free exposure. I think podcasting is another way to get exposure. PR companies are great companies to work for. A lot of trade publications are searching for content, and if you engage with them, they'll do an article on your company. Just give them a few things, or you could write your own story and submit it to one of the trade publications, and they'll repurpose it into their own website or print news article.
Definitely some good advice. It's not easy. It takes effort.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
But I think that's great that you found a great, spot where that's, something that you're passionate about and obviously making a difference.
Yeah.
So if you were to envision for, Car, Machine, and Tool next 3 to 5 years, how do you plan to continue this growth? So what are the big keys to be successful within this industry?
I think we need to keep a strong sales and marketing arm. We need to invest strategically. There's a lot of logistics behind that. Invest strategically, not spend too much, not spend too little. Focus on your niche. Don't take a job that's outside of your niche just to plug a hole. It'll almost always end up turning out bad. You won't make money on the job. It'll really muck up your production. Focus on your niche. Only do what you can do well. I highly, highly recommend that to anybody in this business. Focus on your niche. There's riches in the niches, let me tell you.
So specifically, the big milestones you guys are looking at, what can you share?
I genuinely believe that automation and lights out machining is going to be the paradigm shift. It is the paradigm shift of the future, I believe. I think that's going to have a real strong presence at IMTS 2024 this year in September. You're going to see a lot of that automation. I think machine tools will be sold with automation attached to it. It won't be just, 1+1. It's going to be sold as a unit together. AI, artificial intelligence, is coming on strong. I mean, you can whip out anything in writing in a matter of a couple seconds, right? I believe that artificial intelligence will seep into our industry. I think it's going to come into our CAD programming. I think it'll take over for CAD programmers. It already started, but at the very beginning, it'll do 70% of the CAD programming for us. And then we'll have to have a physical human, finish up the best. But we'll get 70% of it done on the front end, and then only 30% will have to have human intervention. So those are the things that are getting me excited about the future. You have to do what you're passionate about. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, you'll never be successful. It's the honest to God truth. And I tell that to people that I hire. I say, if you want to be in manufacturing, but I hope you're not doing this just because your buddy told you could make a lot of money, because it's not true. You might be able to do it, and you might have a skill set, and you might be able to run a CNC machine. But if you truly want to excel, you have to be passionate about what you're doing, and it's going to be a natural, organic evolution of your career.
Well, Jim, your passion obviously comes through. So I really
thank you. I'm in the best stage of my career right now because I'm being able to lead the company. I've got people doing operations, and finance, it's not really my thing. I can do it. I have to do it. I've been doing it. But now I can do all the things that I really am passionate about: sales, marketing, podcasting, leading, strategic vision. Those are all things that I am really passionate about. And I can have everybody else do all the operations and finance and all the other stuff. But we've never been in that position before. We haven't been to this level. I was always wearing a lot of hats before. Now I've taken a few off.
Yeah, that's great. Free up to what you love. Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to bring this to a close today, but time has flown. So 2 things. What is your podcast if folks want to, jump on and listen?
The mission of my podcast right now is, the name of the podcast is My True Position. A true position is a geometric GD&T tolerance on a print that engineers and machinists deal with all the time. But it also means my true position. So I'm sharing an introspective view on my position of this industry for the last 40 plus years. I talk weekly about all issues that Jim Carr is having on the shop floor, in the office, and check it out. My True Position. You can go to mytrueposition.com or else find it on Spotify, Apple, all the majors is right there.
Well, thank you, Jim. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Great. And let's keep in touch.
You bet. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.